It's the weekend. It's Mailbag. I'm joined by Paul and Warren this week, and maybe Pete, who's proven a little bit elusive as we're recording this morning, but he might turn up at some point, hopefully. Right, lads, we'll get straight into it. There's been a lot in the news, obviously, about Jarrad Branthwaite going. So this week's hot topic is which player sale hurt the most. Before we get into that, this one would sting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like it's I was having a discussion with someone the other day, like who was better at their age, Stones or Branthwaite. And as good as I think Branthwaite is, I do feel Stones was that little bit better. Only a little bit. So it's gonna sting, but it's not gonna hurt as much as some other transfers, which I'm sure we'll go on to. But it's just annoying in it that we in his first full season as well, playing as well as he did. He might end up staying, but I think it's inevitable, really, in it that he's going to move
Yeah.
on. And it's sadly just a symptom of where Everton have been the last few years and what's happened to us, that we're not in a strong enough position to be an attractive proposition for him to stay. Which is sad, but we move on. We've done it before with other big transfers. Then people have left. We'll hopefully recoup as much money as we can for them and then strengthen the squad off the back of it. So we'll see what happens.
Do you reckon Paul not getting into the England team may have affected his decision here? Because you can kind of guarantee that had he been playing for United last season, he would have gone to the Euros. Do you reckon that's had an impact on it? And he's thinking, well, if I want to be serious about England, I need to move.
Yeah, possibly, but I also just think that the fact now that he's not busy during the summer means that United are swooping for that reason, because it doesn't look like they're tapping a player up now while they're on international duty, if you like, or doing anything or during the season. The way that usually works is that they'll say, "Oh, we've got a few," like what happens in 2004 with Wayne. He goes away with the squad, and then you've got obviously United players in that England squad who surely were putting the word in his ear.
Yeah.
In this, because I couldn't sleep again last night. I've been up since about 3:20 this morning, and they've got a loop thing on the BBC iPlayer where it's like 4 hours of different matches from the Euros in the past, and it was one of them was the Croatia game, but the
Yeah.
with the pundits and also the players afterwards, and when he obviously scores twice against Croatia in that game, the 1-2 he plays. I can't think who it was who played it round the corner back to
It
him.
was Owen, wasn't it? Was it Owen?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Afterwards, Beckham is basically heaping praise on him, and I can't remember if Beckham had actually gone to. I think he'd gone to Madrid at this point. Actually, hadn't he?
Yeah, he had. He had to think. Yeah.
You're not telling me that they weren't, sort of getting in his ear. So I
Oh yeah.
suppose thing, isn't it, that he's not there with the other players and they're going, nudge, nudge. I'm just glad in a way, like that, because I'm saying it seems like it's the only natural destination from him. Obviously, he can't go over the park. Arsenal, what has he got there? Like, sort of first choice back two, so he's not going to get games there. City, he's not. Chelsea, you've got about 1,000 players. He's not really going to go abroad unless you look at maybe De Ligt leaving Bayern Munich, but they're not going to pay £80 million, are they? Haven't just paid 100 for Kane last year.
Mm.
There's
Yeah, I
not
suppose. But it does feel like he could hold out for a better move next year. I mean, that's probably wishful thinking on our part, isn't it, that we get him for another year? But
exactly what I think, Les. I don't, and I'm not being biased. Does anyone look at that at United and think like sort of outside the box instead of just going, oh, look at the bright lights, United. Oh yeah, just there's a bit of dripping from the rain falling through the roof. They're £1 billion in debt. It doesn't matter if Ratcliffe's just come in and all this. They're lowballing people. They
yeah,
are not that figure they want. And if they do, it'll be if he wins like an Olympic gold medal in tennis or something. They're not going to pay the money of what Everton are going to want. So if Everton are going to end up being bullied, then that's why he should stay. They're not in a position to be messing around with money at the moment anyway, are they? Because
yeah. And
where's Pete? And
it's
Everton
Pete.
goes, you know, making sure that we get stable again. So if that money does come in, Everton really are only going to be spending. You wouldn't think they're going to be spending any more than half any transfer fee that comes in for Branthwaite, because they need to balance bits. Although, you know, it looks like, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel with whoever's coming in, and the way that they're restructuring. And the ground's only, you know, a season away now. And if you can get all kinds of concerts and everything booked with that income coming in, you can put them on the balance sheets for next season.
Yeah,
so
it completely shifts the goalpost for us. All
So-
that. Yeah, I'm going to sound like a contestant on the chase. Pete, morning, Pete.
Morning. How are we?
All good.
What
Yeah,
can I say? This gets, you know, starts one of these early in the morning when I should still be in bed.
It's a stupid idea. I was cuddling with the cat at 9:10 and I didn't want to get up at all. Yeah, so that £35 million offer. I was just talking about Branthwaite, Pete, before we move on to other transfers. That feels like an insult, doesn't it? To the point where you'd say to United, right, forget it. We're not even going to do any business with you. Coming in with that.
Do you know the encouragement? I said this on one of the weeklies with Dave. The encouragement I have, and I say encouragement, I say that with a pinch of salt. But when I listened to the BBC Sounds thing that Julia Bold did, I remember Kevin Thelwell saying, "We've learned from the previous summers that we're going to say an offer, or you're going to say a price and take it or leave it. If you're not going to pay the money, then we're not selling.
Yeah.
If you are going to pay the money, then we'll think about it." So I think probably what's happened is United have probably gone with they need to sell by the end of June, theory, and they've gone, right, we'll put an offer in. We'll put it out there to the public that we're interested and that there's an offer gone in, and maybe the player's head gets turned and wheels start getting in motion and setting then. But I think Everton are probably going to be a bit steadfast and they've insisted Everton, all the stuff that's come out of Everton, insist that they haven't got to sell. So I think that they'll probably say, look, if you don't match the offer, we're not doing it. And I think the other word that come out, I think last night or the night before was that Everton have sort of turned around and gone, well, look, you paid X amount for Maguire and Varane, was it, and all them. So, you know, if you want to pay that for them and we value this player more, you've got to meet the price. Otherwise, nothing's happening. But, you know, we'll see. I mean, I think for me, and I think Paul touched on it slightly there, the main thing is that we've not bought, or we're not selling, or we're not, got aging players in the squad like we had 4 or 5 years ago at the age of 28, 29 that we can't shift, who are on big wages. We've got a young lad who, if he does go, we're going to get some money for. And then you just hope that we put that money into, you know, good resources in terms of solidifying the financial position, but also, you know, bringing in maybe 2 or 3 players. Hopefully, if we've got that money off the back of it, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's just the start of a long summer, isn't it?
It is, and this very much is not our first rodeo, is it? We've been in this position so many times before. So let's have it. Which one hurt the most? Which player sale hurt the most? Peter, because you've just jumped in, I'll come to you first.
Which player sale hurt the most?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was Big Dunk. I was absolutely dead when we sold Big Dunk. That was such a shock for me. It hurt me dad's bank balance. I think I said before, where I phoned up the Everton club call number and rang it back for like 2 hours to see whether it was true or not. Racking up a massive bill. So yeah, that one hurt. That one really did hurt. There's been a few where I kind of didn't think it was going to go through. Even Mikel Arteta. I always remember Arteta had only just signed a new contract, hadn't he, before he went to Arsenal?
Yeah.
It wasn't that long into his new contract when he left, and I think because it was a few games into the season, he'd been given, you know, he was the number 10, and he'd scored a couple of goals at the start of the season as well. I think because it kind of happened so quickly, that one hurt as well at the time. There's obviously going to be like the likes of Rooney and things like that, but yeah, those are 2 for me that kind of stand out of being a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, I've forgotten about Arteta. That's a good shout. Paul, what's yours?
I think it's probably Rooney for the fact that because of the Euros and stuff. And then I remember going, like, the day that he it was like the 29th of August, wasn't it? I went on, I called up 5 Live, and I was in not a slanging match, like, but, you know, Professor Tom Cannon.
Yeah.
He was at the same time, obviously a big ally of Bills. And I was 90 at this point as well. So we're talking like Now his son, Tom, had only just been born, like about 3 weeks earlier, by the way, as well. So I'm on the crest of a wave, and then he's scoring loads of goals and everything in the Euros, and I was like, my God, I'm glad I never called you Wayne. Like, but well, you know that like his mum wanted to call him Henry because she loved Thierry Henry. But so yeah, and he always thanks me for that. And then my mate, my son's called Henry, and I was like, oh, sorry, mate, I didn't mean it like that. It was that it was just I think it made me feel, I was only 24 at the point. It made me feel like, we're getting to a point where we can actually go on to do something here. Do you know what I mean? And all right, yes, we did finish fourth in that season, and it still felt like it was going to be, getting to something. But it always feels like, because I've always put these things. I was at a thing with Reed and Bracewell last Friday night in the Parkonians in the Whittle, and I didn't mention it there, but I wanted to, and I forgot. I asked them a different question instead, but it's just like if you were to put, if Everton were in a position where Rooney had to come through in that 85 team, he stays for 5, 6, 7 years. He's the absolute legend that, he's become at United and then he's the England record goal scorer at Everton, isn't he? Why does this always happen? When we, like an awful place, we get like a rising star and then they have to leave? It's so frustrating. Like Lawrence.
I think the thing that frustrated me most about that was when we did finish fourth that season after. I just think the difference he could have made to that team.
Absolutely, yeah.
We could have finished higher with him. If you think like,
instead of Marcus,
the way Steven Gerrard used to drag like really bad Liverpool teams through, and he was just basically their one good player, but he was that good he could drag them through games. Rooney could have easily done that with that team. And you kind of think, everything could have been so different if he'd have stayed. Because in the scheme of things, the money wasn't that much. I mean, obviously, there's talk that we needed to sell him because the club was on its arse and we were in debt and we needed the money. I don't know if that's true, but you just think the difference he could have made to that team. And that's the thing that really, is really gutting about it, I think. That we'll never know.
If you remember, I think we mentioned this not so long ago, actually, a few weeks ago. But it was only that summer that Trevor Birch had come in, hadn't he? He'd been signed. He'd just been at Leeds, looking at the finances there. Ken Wright brought him in to look and said, how can we restructure? And he was trying to do everything. It's as if the elephant was in the room and he was trying to cover Rooney and say, no, we don't want to sell him. What else can we do to make the club survive? And he was going, you've got an asset there. You need to sell that asset. That's apparently what it was.
Yeah.
He was there for 6 weeks, wasn't he? He didn't need, because there was nothing else. He's like, I'm not a magician. You've got an asset there, a saleable asset that's just performed on a global stage. And yes, if that happens now, this I don't think this is anything different. It's just that Branthwaite hasn't done that and he's in a different position and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't come through the academy. He was bought in 2020 and stuff from Carlisle, and I get that. But at the same point, it's a young player who started to perform really well. And is an incredibly integral part to the team. Him and Tarkowski kept 13 clean sheets. In that side, you put those two centre backs along with Pickford in the England side. Does that not make them stronger? I don't know if it's completely different because you've got Kyle Walker on one side, a possible a Trippier if Shaw's fit and all this. But then people saying, all the United fans saying that Branthwaite isn't worth 80 million and all this. Well, don't pay it then. We're not saying we think he's an 80 million pound player. We're saying that's what we want. That's a completely different matter. So what he's worth to Everton Football Club is totally different to what you think he's going to perform like for United. They are two parallel universes. That doesn't matter at all. If you don't want to pay the price that a club has on the head, he doesn't go. It's as simple as that. Warren said this before. That's the way it should be working. Not bullying and lowballing people and saying, this is what we think he's worth. And he wants to come to us. Come to us. He does want to come to us. It's not, and that's the way that, Everton have to operate. Exactly. Yeah. Said before.
And hopefully.
Sorry, go on.
No, hopefully the club will sort of stand firm on that. Warren, what's yours?
Well, yeah, after Rooney, I was like, no one can ever leave Everton and hate me again, because I just, off the back of that Euros where he was just, I mean, that game against France, I remember watching that and think, like, France were the, long world champions. They were favourites to win it. They had Zidane, and all the players that, Henry, Trezeguet, all them players. And I just remember thinking, this lad who was born not far from where I was born and is absolutely lighting up this tournament. Everybody in the country loves him, and he's ours. Like, this never happens. And then when he left, it was and then you remember the first game for United, he scores that hat-trick in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And you just like that, you're going as an Everton fan, you're going. And I remember thinking then, even as young as I was then, I remember thinking, I don't think anything else will ever hit. Like, I don't care. Like, yeah, obviously transfers since have hurt, but I don't think anything else will ever hurt again as much as that. To the point where it's like, if someone, like, for instance, I love Richarlison, still do, but when he left, yeah, it hurt, but I wasn't like down about it. I was over it within a day. Do you know what I mean? Because it's happened now, and you move on. I think the only other one where I wouldn't say I was as close to Rooney or nothing, but I think in terms of the dynamic of the Everton team at the time, which really changed, and you thought, we could go on here and push on, was Lescott. Because I remember that we got to the final, obviously the FA Cup final, and that was a really good Everton team. That 2009 team, and you just felt we needed one or two players in another position, like maybe up front or whatever, and we just needed another one or two to really kick on, because we finished fifth 2 years in a row. We were really close to that top four. And if you remember at the time as well, it was very protected, the top four. Then it was, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. Tottenham were nowhere. City was still nowhere. And we were really on the verge of kick, and we just needed that. And again, Paul talked about timing before. If we'd have had Lukaku at that stage in his prime, like he was for us, who knows what would have happened. But when he left Lescott in that game against Arsenal where he just down tools, that was horrible, because I thought, we finally reached the point now where we're a really good competitive team. We've reached an FA Cup final. Trophies could be, it wasn't unrealistic to say that Everton could be in contention to win a cup or, get into a Europe, quite easily. And he just up sticks and left. And it was horrible, because you just thought, he's such a good player, and we've done the right thing signing him, young, and he could be with us for the next 10 years. And he scored like 10 goals that year, hadn't he? First defender since Mountfield to score double figures in a season. And you're like, and that really, really was a bitter pill to swallow as well. So, yeah, Rooney, nothing will ever beat Rooney, but I think as another one, Lescott was not a nice one to have to go through at that time as well.
Yeah, that is a good shout. I think one from me was Nick Barmby. Don't even like to say his name, but for me, he was playing really well in that Everton team. He got back in the England squad, and the second he got back in the England squad, he got tapped up and left. No. And I think it's because he left for them as well. Just hurt more. Because I remember, like, a load of Reds saying to me, "We're going to get Barmby off you." And he was like, "There's no way he's going to sign for you. He's not a chance. He won't go from Everton to Liverpool. Not a chance." And obviously he did, the little twat. Anyway, so that one really stung me at the time.
He fights and scores, and that was on my birthday as well.
What was that?
When he scored against Everton in the derby.
Oh yeah.
Birthday, with lashing down rain, but I wasn't there. I went like paintballing somewhere or something like that, and it felt like I got shot in the face because.
That was the only game he played against us, wasn't it?
Yeah, he never played at Goodison, did he?
No.
Yeah, he wouldn't have got out. That's why.
No. Couple from Twitter here. So Stephen said the selling of Ferguson wasn't great. It's quite the understatement. I was in school and someone got a message on their pager. Anyone remember pages that said he'd been sold, and I didn't believe them. Sam said Ferguson. Mike said Ferguson and Rooney. Nothing can ever hurt again after them, which is a fair shout. Gary said Duncan, but this one is right in the man shaft, talking about Branthwaite. Michael said it will always be Rooney, there's no escaping it. Forget the circumstances, just that level of talent playing for another team was sickening, which is fair enough, yeah. Graham said Alan Ball, which...
Yeah, a few of the Al fellas have said nothing will ever compare to Alan Ball, haven't they?
Yeah, I can't imagine how mad that must have been, because that was halfway through the season, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, and obviously all us young, handsome fellas here won't remember that, so it wouldn't have affected us. Do you know what I mean?
I can imagine that would have been like a hell of a shock, wouldn't it? Just coming from
that was probably the Rooney of its day, wasn't it? Because he was still wasn't he quite young himself still at the time?
I think he was
and
about 26, wasn't he? Something.
World Cup winner, and
because he was gone in the World Cup when he signed for Everton from Blackpool, and obviously.
Because he played for Southampton in like 79, 80, wasn't he still? So
Well, Everton won the league 69-70, didn't he? And then when he left Everton to go to Arsenal late in the league 70-71.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
And Anthony said Rooney by a mile. Dodge 44 said, how about the one that will hurt the most? If we sell Branthwaite, just give up. Sell those program notes will be a disgrace. Fair enough.
Branthwaite is not even in the same stratosphere as Rooney.
Yeah, do you know, it's like me dad's getting a little bit cut up about this one because he's saying, you know, what's the point and all that. I don't feel like that about this.
No, I don't.
I'm feeling quite like, I don't know if he's going to go, he's going to go.
Well, that's I said earlier, as good as he is, and I think he's a brilliant defender, I really do. I think he is, you know, people have used the quote generational talent, and I think that's fair enough to include him in that, and I think he'll go on to be a very, very fine defender, but Stones was just something else for me. I don't think he's as good as what he might go on to be better than Stones, but I don't think he's as good as what Stones was at his age. That's just my opinion. So it doesn't. I'm a bit like you, Les. It just doesn't feel. It's going to hurt. It's going to sting, but it doesn't feel as ground blowingly. You know, the way some people are. What's the point? I'm giving up. I don't feel that way.
Yeah, same. All right, then. Flip side. Fat weightlifter has asked, which free transfer should we be looking at?
Well, I'm going to jump on the Che Adams bandwagon which just includes me, because when we was talking about us signing him a year ago, I was well up for it. I watched a lot of the Scotland games he was involved with. Obviously not last night, but I involved a lot of the Scotland games. Watched a lot of the Scotland games he was involved with. And I thought he was very effective for them, for the way they play, as in they don't see much of the ball, as in they're not favourites in every game they play. It rang a lot of bells with us, and I just thought as an alternative to Dom, if Dom was injured. And look, I hate writing players off, but I think Che Adams is a better alternative than Beto. But I think with Southampton getting promoted, I think he'll probably end up staying there, won't he? But listen, I'm not saying, by the way, I think he's brilliant and I think he's the answers to all our questions. But yeah, I'm on the Che Adams bandwagon there for me.
That is a good shout. Pete, any free transfers in mind? Do you know any?
We've been linked with, is it Ndidi?
Yeah.
And just so we can use that horrendous commentators line of yes, Ndidi. Yeah, just so we can. But for that reason and that reason only, I'd go for him.
It's right, Pete. You're the songsmith of the group. Is there a song in there to Yes Sir I Can Boogie? Is it Wilfred Ndidi?
Yeah, it is. Yes, sir. Indeed.
Wilfred Ndidi.
Come back to me. Yeah, Wilfred Ndidi.
All night long. Yeah.
I'm in if that's the case, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with something better than that, though.
Yeah, we'll leave that one with you.
Come back to me, because that's kind of like an old hat, very used chant now, isn't it?
Okay,
the Scots use it, so let's have a think outside the box and I'll get back to you.
Like it. Leave you with that. Paul,
do we need to take apart a Taylor Swift song or something and get up to modern times with it, Pete? I don't even know. I don't know any other modern people. Apparently, no, I don't know. Actually, we were looking at this at these free transfer things, and the only one I could see, which is when I was looking on Transfer Market, was Rabiot, who's been linked loads of times. He's like the Raquel May of his generation. Been in I don't know. Is Sayer still?
Is he still at Juventus?
Right. Yeah. 29 now. Hey, here's one who we should sign. Anthony Martial, just so he doesn't score against us.
Oh yeah, he got the Ballon d'Or. He had that
free
Ballon d'Or clause, didn't he? When he signed for United.
He
scores that often at Goodison. Imagine if we signed him.
He's missing an own goal.
Yeah, just sign him, put him on the bench, or don't even play him. Just put him in the youth team. Yeah.
Yeah, just for 2016.
There's a fella on me mate used to batter Man City all the time, right? On Champ Manager in the 90s. We're talking like 94, 95. And he, if he'd like win 10-1, Carl Griffiths used to score again, the only goal. So he bought him, right? And he put him in the reserves and he kept fining him to make sure like, he can't go anywhere. And then he just, so he would then beat City 10-0. But maybe, that's the Martial effect, maybe. Or
I'll be well up for that.
Yeah.
Carl Griffith. Yeah.
Mike, a bit of an existential question here from my theory. Would the joy of winning something equal the relief of staying up? Different emotions, but what is the greater? Not got many cup wins to draw on between us, really, have we? But
no, I think winning something, it's going to obviously be a much better feeling. But that relief of staying up, I've never felt anything like that. And I remember Wimbledon, but I was still a kid. So even though I was there, I didn't fully appreciate it. Again, Coventry, I was still a kid, so I was relieved, but I didn't feel the same emotion. That Bournemouth game, I've never felt to the point where I've had to walk out the ground where there's thousands of people around me and I just needed to be on my own. And it's the other way around, isn't it? When you win, you want to be with everyone and you want to feel that connection and you want to and that just what I'll never forget as long as I live. I was walking past the Harlech, where Tesco used to be and all there. And I was just walking right in the middle of the road because County Road was closed and there was loads of people one side, loads of people the other. And I was heading back towards the Black Horse. And I just remember, like, I was just walking at head and hands like this. And I was just in a daze. And if you remember that day, it was quite a nice day, quite a sunny day as well. And I just remember, like, I was almost like, doing the 3 breaths in, hold for 3, breathe out for 3, just to regulate myself again. Yeah, and I've never, it's like, I think if we'd have, it's that thing, isn't it? If it had actually happened, I think the shock would have just, it would have been horrible. And I think the relief of knowing how close you were, because I mean, my God, half time, we were down. We were down at half time.
It keeps jogging in your mind as well, doesn't it? What if it had gone differently? What would
and
like now?
Some people throw up that clip of the I can't remember who it was for Leicester when they played Newcastle in like it was on the Wednesday night, and the Newcastle keeper, for whatever reason, must be like the footballing gods or something. He's made that unbelievable save to keep it at 1-1. And you think if that doesn't happen, if that unreal, like I'm talking Lev Yashin style save doesn't happen, that's Everton down. And at half time in that game, when I think Leicester were winning, weren't they, beating West Ham, and we were still 0-0. And I'm just thinking, I don't know what's going to happen. And like this next 45 minutes is going to be awful. And I think that anxiety and the not knowing is horrible. I think if you go into a cup final, like for instance, 2009, I got the train back to Liverpool and everyone was bouncing on the train. And I get back and it was my first experience being at Wembley and as in seeing us lose, I mean, at Wembley in a final. And then got back to Lime Street and walked through Williamson Square. And there was people singing Everton songs, in the middle of Williamson Square. And that's after we'd lost. So that feeling was like, oh, well, all right, that happens. We'll come back again next year and do it. That feeling of relief after Bournemouth, I don't think, I don't want to ever experience it again, but I think that was so much more, it affected me so much more than possibly the joy of winning something would. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but that's just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's something that like Reds were taking the piss out of us for saying like, what a mad feeling it is. But Pete, it is, isn't it? You can't describe it, and unless you've been there, you've got no idea.
Oh, honestly, the emotion of it. I remember when Takore scored. It's the first time I can remember where I literally broke down. Like he scored. It was like this outpouring of emotion, and everyone says about that moment when he scored and the roar, the sound of Goodison. Even the Bournemouth fans have said it's the loudest they've ever heard any ground ever because of. And I think everyone who was there, my ears were ringing. But I just remember the outpouring of emotion when he scored. I was literally in tears. I hugged my dad, and I was just like shaking. It was just one of those things. And I think as well with that Bournemouth game in particular, because of everything else that had gone on that season. It was we were getting battered from left and right. We had all these things with the board. We had the, headlock gate and all that sort of thing going on. It was the maddest season of for a football fan you could possibly imagine. But then, I mean, obviously last season, then we had all these point deductions and all kinds. But at least that didn't go down to the wire. But I mean, it was going through that whole roller coaster and having all these things happen. And then, like Warren said, at half time we were down. And again, you're looking at it thinking, surely we've got to find something. And you do have that moment where you sit there and you think at half time, I could be stood here in 50 minutes time after injury time. I could be sat here and we're down. And yet going back to the thing about winning the cup, I'd give anything for Everton to win a cup, to win something, to finally see us break that duck since 1995. It'd be an amazing situation, or an amazing thing to witness. But I just think the knock-on effect of us going down would have been so catastrophic. I actually don't know whether we would have ever recovered, because I just think as well, it was the pressure as well. The stadium, the stadium build was sort of still, was probably still up in the air at that point, because I genuinely don't think we would have got the funding to complete it. I think it would have knocked us back by a decade if we would have gone down. So I think nothing. I don't think I'll ever feel relief like that unless God forbid, it happens again. I just think that was such a monumental moment in our history, and it might sound small time to say that, but let's be honest. Like, I fear that the club would have been out of existence, and I don't think that happens if you lose a cup final. I think if you lose a cup final, you kind of think, like Warren said, you think, well, yeah, we can go again next year. It's kind of a bit of a free hit, isn't it? Whereas there's no free hit when you're 45 minutes away from staring, you're staring into the oblivion. But yeah, I don't think anything I've ever experienced will ever compare to what that Bournemouth game, even the Palace game, even the Coventry game, I was at that one as well. Nothing compares to that Bournemouth game.
Yeah, I suppose that's it, isn't it, Paul? It's the jeopardy of it all. That, like, if we had gone down there, that could quite feasibly be it. We could plummet through the leagues.
Yeah, I mean, listening to Warren and Pete there just talk about that actually takes me back to that day. And exactly as like Pete was saying, I was obviously with my son, and he sits to the right of me, and then I've got my mate Gary who sits to the left and stuff, and he's got two younger kids who are younger than Tom and that and whatever. So there's a mix of different emotions and experiences as a fan there. We've also got mates who sit in front of us. You must know Terry, who's on Twitter as well. He sits down from us and stuff and whatever. And it was just like absolutely ridiculous. We all just like, there was about 10 of us all together. It was weird, you know what I mean? There's like there's a guy in about his 60s. I don't want to be rude or whatever, but you know what I mean? He's obviously seen stuff that I haven't and we haven't. And then his daughter, who's only in her 20s and stuff and whatever. So everyone's got like a different mix of experience and what they've seen and what they've witnessed. And a lot of them, if you think, have not seen Everton win a trophy. So it's about the monumental like meaning of the game and the club's imminent future. As Peter said, it's not about being small time. You're not telling me, for example, right, that Liverpool having a go, laughing and stuff and whatever, if they were in that situation, they wouldn't feel the same, because it can be catastrophic. Because this isn't like a Stoke, or whatever, a Burnley or something, and the greatest of respect to those teams. But we're talking about the team that hasn't been out the top flight, since the 50s. This is it's not about, West Brom come up, Norwich, blah, blah, blah. And I've got mates who support these teams, and that's why I understand. As a fan, right, we don't affect it. It isn't our fault if we lose, right? We don't make the decisions for transfers. We don't make a decision to build a new ground, to hire managers, to sack managers, to let players go, to bring players in, staff, people like Thelwell and and anyone director of football, staff, and we have no decisions at the club whatsoever. So whatever happens, we have to go with it wholesale, or we go. So you then get wrapped up in those emotions, regardless of what that game is, whether it's 1-0 at home to Fulham on the opening day and you're thinking, or getting beat twice at home by Luton, and once in the absolute pissing down rain, and Everton, where I ended up walking back to town. Tom couldn't get in the game. All those little things. It's also the emotions as well of being at it. And like, I don't know, let's say like a November game or something where nothing's decided. It's not a cup game, it's a league game, and you think, oh, we're 14th or something, right? And we haven't signed anyone. We don't look like we're going to bring anyone in. We've got a few injuries and stuff like this. And then you're queuing up to get out and you're fuming. And then, like, I don't drive, but you get in your car, you're in a traffic jam, and you get pissed off more because, oh, God, I'm fuming about the game. These Reds who don't go to the game, right? They don't have that experience.
This
telly off, and then they put something else on, or they get nagged by the wife, or whatever it is, right? As a fan, and you're stuck in a situation you can't get out of, and you just watch 90 minutes of shit. Those fear and everything moving forward, it all has an effect, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it as well, isn't it? As you say, we've got absolutely no control over anything that happens at that football club or on that pitch. But when you're at the game, that's the one time you think you can make a difference. It's the only opportunity we have to maybe make some sort of tangible difference. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Just finally on this one, my hot take is I'd sooner win a cup than the league. Cup win, much more satisfying than a league win. Because I think unless you win the league like on like a last day or something, I think that whole thing about winning a cup, about everything is on this one game, it just makes it sort of, I don't know, more memorable. A league win kind of is dragged out.
It's
the Chelsea final, I remember going down and just thinking, this is incredible. This is the first time I went to the semi-final, but this is the first time like where I've arrived in London and there's just blue everywhere, and not blue for Chelsea, by the way. There was just Everton everywhere you went in London that day. There was Everton fans everywhere, and you just felt so like, I'm a part of this. When we go off into our own little worlds and our own little bubbles in our work life or personal lives, whatever, you don't appreciate just how much this football club means to everyone. Well, we do appreciate it because we understand, but when you're put in a situation like that, I remember getting off at Euston, and there's a Premier Inn. I don't know if it's still there, but there's a Premier Inn opposite Euston, and it was just draped every single room, Everton flag draped outside the room, and I just thought. And there was fellas booking up weeks in advance, hotels everywhere, and people coming in from all angles in all parts of London, all just descending on Wembley. And you look back at the, you've probably all seen it, the '84 video clip where they're on the coach, and you just see all the fans. And if you've watched Howard's Way, the players are saying, I'm just looking out, and I can't see any Watford fans, I just see blue everywhere. He said, that's your team talk, sorted, do it for them. And that's what... I think I'm with. Yeah, I'd love to win. I'd love to see us win a league, though.
Yeah, it would be great. But...
I think I'd bathe in lager for 6 weeks afterwards if we won a league. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, no, that's just sort of how I feel. I might get stick for that, but I just think that whole thing. And like, also just finally on that, it must be weird for London clubs getting to a Wembley final, because it's just like they'll just sort of have the same match day routine more or less, won't they?
Yeah,
That'd be crap. That. Yeah, rubbish. Okay, Michael's asked, which young player did you think was going to be first team but got released? Lewis Warrington for him, which I think is a good shout. I thought, if he's going to get into a midfield, it's got to be that midfield because it's a bit crap. But anyone got any thoughts?
Do you remember Peter Clark?
Yeah.
Yes, centre back.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be, because there was talk of him being like brilliant, and it never really happened for him. There's been a load, though, hasn't there? There's been a load of young players who we thought were going to be something special, or there was rumours of them or talk of them, and then it's just never worked out. But yeah, Peter Clark for me.
Yeah, Pete.
Yeah, I remember Steven Schumacher was one. Because I remember he was talked about so highly. I think he captained England up until about under 19s, and he was really highly regarded. But I know he had issues. I think he had 2 knee injuries, which kind of set him back. And he ended up having a decent career, in sort of League One sort of level, didn't he? I think he was at was he at Blackpool as well when he
I think he was.
Finally played in the Premier League for Blackpool, which was good to see. But I know that when he was a kid growing up, all the talk was about him being a top player. And I think, as I say, I think injury set him back massively. But good to see that he ended up with a decent career. More recent, I say recently, but another player who seemed to be around forever, who I always thought that maybe he might just break through. Conor McAleny. Do you remember he ended up on about 20 different loans, and he and he used to come back for pre-season and he'd do all right, and you look at him and go, oh, maybe there is a little player in there. You know, he seems like he can get goals, but again, I think injuries messed him up, on the fact that we all thought he was about 18 when he was really 25.
I was going to say, he was 19 till he was 27, wasn't he?
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Luke Garbutt as well, another one. Luke Garbutt.
Do you know if Luke Garbutt, yeah. Do you know if this season's squad list comes out with all the numbers, squad numbers and all that, and Conor McAleny was still on there, I wouldn't be shocked.
Who was the other lad as well? Was it Pennington? Pennington, who was like captain of the under-21s when he was 27.
Yeah. Paul?
Do you know what? Me and my mate used to actually watch him in the Premier League 2 when he won the cup and the league double. So we had won the league. Lewis Gibbs, he looked neat and tidy, and a really good defender as a sweeper as well. And he paid £1 million for him from Newcastle, didn't he? And I thought, you know, it's not far off what they basically done with Stones to Barnsley and Carlisle for Branthwaite and stuff and whatever. I don't know what happened. I really don't, because I know it's a different level. Completely, but he looked as if he was well within himself at that level. So, and it all depends on, you know, how you get on within the training, when you step up to the first team training and stuff or whatever, or you go away, or and I'm not saying this is what it is, but there's so many different permutations and you know, the knock-on effect of things if you don't get called up, and at that time, obviously, maybe they're looking at like Branthwaite as that player who's going to come in. Obviously, he goes on loan to PSV and plays in the Champions League, so he's got a huge, you know, start on him. But then he gets released. Warrington, I was surprised at, because I was saying, like, Warrington could probably step in instead of Gomez now, and we don't have to pay that money. And then my brother went, "Oh, he's been released." So it shows people, doesn't it?
I think, as we said as well, it's not been the best place for young players to come through, has it? Over the last 6-7 years with so many managerial changes. But yeah, good shouts there. Gary, getting married soon. Congratulations, fella. I've been told no football stuff for my wedding. How can I secretly sneak Everton into the day without music? I'm wearing something. Help me, Blue Room. You're my only hope. Paul, what was your answer?
You know that. I said, hire a toffee lady.
Yeah, a toffee lady walking down the aisle in front of everyone.
No, I don't.
Just throwing toffees instead of rose petals. Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah, there you
go. Shout. And Dave,
I'd
go
the other way. I know he said no music, but you just clearly gotta do that thing where it starts off. You know, when they, like, whatever music you play as they go down as she's walking up the aisle. And just get it, like, record scratch, and then Z Cars kicks in. Like, it's surely got to happen. Like, as they're walking out, I think you should lull her into a false sense of security and then bang, Z Cars.
Or imagine, right, they're just about to walk out and it's just,
yes, first dance. First dance.
I think what the DJ should do in the reception afterwards, I think they should just do whatever music to do, and then randomly the DJ should just come over and on the mic and go, "Fuck off, Osman."
Oh, I know what you should do. I know what you should do. He should have them, because you meant to have, is it Old New Borrow Blue? I think he should have.
Sounds like a good podcast, that, actually.
It sounds like a good idea for a podcast, that, doesn't it? Yeah, some blue and white undies, and have like Howard Kendall's blue and white undies.
Howard Kendall's blue and white undies.
Do that. Get them specially made. Yeah,
get them specially made.
Just imagine on the wedding night,
the reveal at the end. Everton were here all along.
Yeah. I think that's the winner, actually, definitely. Yeah. Barry said, play Bob Dylan singing Johnny Todd, traditional Liverpool folk song. That's a really good way to shoehorn it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've come up with some good ideas there. Definitely go with the undies, though, Gary. Definitely go with the undies.
Yeah.
There you go, Sam. What's the best herb?
Herb?
Coriander for me all day.
Oh, God.
Coriander. Basil as well. Like a bit of fresh basil.
Bit of mint.
Bit of
fresh mint and hot water. Ooh, lovely.
Ooh.
don't like mint. It's too sweet. I like savoury stuff and not like. My mum has mint sauce on a roast. I'm like, you might as well just have a packet of Blue Extra. What's going on?
Any advance on favourite herbs?
I do like in you know when you make a roast and you do your gravy, I do like a little bit of rosemary and thyme in the gravy.
That's the
Stir it
shout.
all up.
Yeah.
Not too much. Don't want to overpower it. Just a little bit and a bit of pepper.
Yeah. Oh, I did find out, right. So Jay's just come back from uni. He's turned into quite the chef. He made some sort of rosemary gravy and meat when he was there. So I need to get him to do that for me because it sounds outstanding.
Yeah.
Who knew? I thought he just lived on coca noodles and Tizer.
Pasta.
Yeah.
Kids these days, eh?
Oh, I know, honestly. Paul, have you got a favourite herb?
No, are you American now, are you?
Yeah.
It was only when one was laughing.
Sorry, it was just the way you asked it. It was like I just like the thought in my mind was like you walk into a pub, you see your mate. All right, mate. What's your favourite herb? Like just so random. Like just made me laugh.
Well, and he probably goes, I'm smoking it right now, mate. Said rosemary and thyme. It reminded me of those. Were they Walker's senses?
It was the detective thing, wasn't it?
What?
Wasn't
Yeah, it was
thing, no?
detective show, rosemary and thyme. Yeah,
The chicken rosemary and thyme crisps that you used to get, the bit like the.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. 8 chicken crisps are underrated.
They were belters, yeah.
So I just missed this from Gary before about transfers. On the flip side, the one who I was dead on asked about was Xavier.
yeah.
I had mates winding me up, which isn't hard. I was just like, he's utter shite. Then he slotted on his debut. Standard. John, where are you on the scale of Evertonian misery from 1 to 10? I'm all right, you know.
I'm all right. Yeah,
It's been a lot worse. I'm coasting on a 7. I'm all right.
yeah. I'm about a 6 because I think the worst, not the worst because we've had the worst, but I think
It can always get worse.
there'll be still some down points before we get up points again, won't there?
Yeah.
I do think we'll have a good. I do think we'll have a good some bounce this year, though. I really do. I think we'll be very strong at home this year because I think we won't allow it, and the players won't allow the final season to be a damn
also
squib.
as well. That's something Dice's low key sorted out last season, didn't he?
Mm.
Our home form, which has been a problem for years, really,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't last year. So, Paul, where are you on the Everton misery? He's got off.
No,
He's on the scale that much, he's got off.
He's got to get his herbs.
You can say hair. No, a good grabbing on my head. Got really dark, and so I had to put the light on. Absolutely ridiculous.
Flashing down.
I know. I can hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. But the
There you go. Mailbag weather reports.
What was the question? Sorry.
1 to 10, Everton misery. 1 to 6, I'm a 7. All right.
I'm about the same. But knowing like Everton, they probably will go unbeaten at home and then like get like the ground will like sink into the dock or something, won't it, to the bottom of the Mersey? It's just Everton. You know what I mean?
World War III, nailed on.
Yeah.
But I mean, the world needs to know it's safe from World War III unless we win the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're just the rules.
Yeah.
We win our first 10 games, panic.
Yeah.
Because then we'll hopefully it's hopefully it's a 12-year long war, and then we go back to the top of it and we'll have won it for 21 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Plus point of a 12-year long war, isn't it? I suppose.
There's a silver lining and everything.
Yeah.
Right, a couple more before we finish. Mike's asked, what would your personal terms be?
Oh God, this is going back to Muller, isn't it? When he wanted tax-free wages and a free.
God, yeah, do you remember that? Was
did
he
you
even that good?
Muller?
He seems like one of those jarred Brazilians, like Merendinha.
Do you know who he was? You know the video of that fella in the supermarket in Brazil where like the bottle of water drops and he flicks it up with his hand? It was him. I signed him based on that, or tried to. I don't know. I would like to have guest like slot somewhere in Ibiza all the time. Like, and I get games off when like there's a bit when it's me and Fatboy Slim and Oakenfold topping the bill.
They'll just get flown out after the game.
Or at half time.
Yeah.
They won't invite me back.
Just on that, I think mine would be decent halftime music.
Mm.
Then my personal terms.
Personal terms for what, by the way?
Just anything, I think.
Anything. What's your personal terms?
It's an open-ended question. I think maybe
Yeah.
for signing for Everton, but personal terms, playing all blue. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's make
All
the
blue,
switch
no
to
white
all blue.
shorts, no.
What's that?
I'd love to see us wear all blue this season.
It just looks great. Or do you think it looks great because it's just few and far between, like Arsenal away, and it just because it's so rare.
Everton women playing all blue.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because so the blue shorts, they don't do the blue shorts white socks because obviously that's Chelsea. So they have all blue. So the home kit is actually blue top, blue shorts, blue socks.
It's
class.
The women are doing it right.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah, I think that would be mine. I think.
Yeah.
Any advance before we move on to Stephen's last question, which is a very good one.
I mean, because of the open-endedness of the question, I'm struggling here, which is normally not usual for me. So
It is. You've actually silenced Warren.
Yeah.
Good work, man.
Difficult thing to do that. Yeah.
Right, the last one then. This is going to sort of say a lot about who we are. What is the last tab you have open through Safari or Google on your phone or laptop? His was, is it illegal to own chipmunks in the UK?
Oh God, yeah, I've heard about that actually. To be fair, I saw that because it reminded me of a Carl Pilkington podcast I was listening to the other day, and he's talking about Donald McIntyre doing a program called Cheap as Chimps and saying that he went online and saw a chimp for sale for 55 grand, and Gervais goes to him, "Is that it?" And he goes, "Yeah." How is it cheap as chimps then? What does that even mean? You've just got I love a show. And then he's going online trying to find out where are you buying these things from? So chipmunks.
Just on that, right? The chimp thing quickly. I'm sure there's a picture knocking around. I'll find out of my mum and dad of me mum when she's about 6, 7, with a little spider monkey in the house.
In the house.
In the house. Not she wasn't in a zoo or anything. It was in the house. So I think in 60s Birkenhead, there was a trade in exotic animals, and a spider monkey passed through my nan's house at some point. I'll find this out, but it's so weird. It was definitely in a house. It wasn't very strange. Anyway, yeah. My last tab was who were the presenters of Wish You Were Here?
Gloria Hunniford.
It was Judith Chalmers.
Judith Chalmers, yeah. Judith Chalmers.
What was the fella called? I've forgotten his name. I'll find it out now. That was mine.
Wasn't the guy wasn't John Alderson, was it?
It was Chris Kelly.
Oh yeah. Now he had blonde hair, didn't he? Yeah,
Pete didn't want to share his last tab with us, so we got
Pete's done one. Pete's done one. Mine's really boring. Mine was I went to the London Series baseball at West Ham last week, and the train we were getting was over an hour delayed, and we got an email saying that we were in line for compensation. So my last tab is just the form for filling in the compensation to hopefully get 40 quid back from me train journey. So
I do love a bit of delay repay.
Yeah. And you know what? We were so early anyway, it didn't matter to us. So to get a bit of money back on it. But just a quick story about that. At the game, they were selling these baseball bat shaped, the mag that you can fill them up with drinks and whatever.
Yeah.
So apparently they'd all sold out because all the Americans coming over wanted to buy them, take them back as a souvenir. And I didn't realise this at the time. But the shaped bat just on its own, bit of plastic, 15 quid each they were, or 17 quid each, something like that. So people now, madly enough, are selling them all on eBay for 60, 70 quid because it's got the date and all that on it. So they're quite a well thought out thing. So halfway through the game, come on, it's my round, I'll get it, what you want. So I don't want to walk all the way around somewhere to a store where there's massive queues. I'll just get something here dead quick and get back up to my seat. So the only thing they had with these, because I wanted one anyway, with these things, the only thing they had on sale was Pimm's. So I was right, I'll have 2 of them, please. So I'm holding these bats going up, these drink baseball bats, and full of pims. Now I reckon it's close to about 2 pints worth. Close to about 2 pints worth. How much do you reckon I paid for these 2 baseball bats full of pims?
This is like Ibiza prices, isn't it? There was a girl the other day who paid €50 for 2 vodkas and 2 bottles of water. So I'm going about 28.
I was going to say 50 quid for 2.
It was 70 quid for the 2 of them.
What?
And do you know when you do that thing when she's already poured it and she's giving it to you and she go, and you've got your card out and she goes 70 quid. I couldn't do that thing of going, nah, you're all right. And I'd had a few at the time as well, so it was fine. But what made me feel much better about it was just the things on their own would have been 17 quid each. So 34 quid for the 2 things, plus another, 35 for nearly 2 pints of pims, so 4 pints of pims nearly. So that put me at, but you know, at the time, just you're like, I've paid, and it was halfway through, and it took me the rest of the game to drink it, and I was bladdered after. Pims is a secret thing that gets you bladdered, by the way.
Oh,
that
I've got one for you. The secret thing. Well, it's not a secret thing because it's Shoof beer, Le Shoof.
Shoof.
But the cherry flavour. Have you had that?
Rocker Fuel, mate. Rocker Fuel.
Oh, the cherry. I had the cherry one last night. It's incredible.
Knocks it out.
It's so nice.
Lovely, but knocks it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just about getting compensation back on me from my train.
You pulled a good story out about it.
Yeah. Well, it had to be better than that boring answer, you know what I mean? I had to get some sort of story out of it. So,
Paul, what was your last tab? This should be interesting.
I was just hoping that Warren was going, he can it, there's sure better. I was hoping you would my last tab, it was probably about serial killers, it usually is. You already mentioned Jeffrey. I'm joking, obviously. Pete's face.
I am going for the hunt. As I said, I'm going for the Hunter S. Thompson look here, but look more like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's just
he said that. Oh, you just come on this morning. No, mine was. I can't even. I tweeted mine. I can't even remember what it said.
Let's have a look.
While you're looking, I don't know if you can see that there. The bats.
Oh, they are good. Like
that's them. Yeah. I know people listening can't see them, but that's them. So you can see like, and they, as I say, they're full of the pims. So sorry, go on, carry on.
Let's see your girlfriend.
Yours was, have you ever seen a man eat his own head?
Yeah. It's American, isn't it? Yeah. You haven't seen everything. And then he gives him a hammer he says, you may want to take your own life at some point. You may want to, and gives him a hammer. Yeah, that was it. Sorry.
Pete, any advance on that before we wrap up?
Yeah, mine was to do because I was watching The Boys. Anyone watch The Boys?
Oh, I haven't watched series 3 yet, and series 4's just come out, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Miles behind.
So basically, Mother's Milk in The Boys just looks completely different in season 4, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It was like if they changed actor, but no, he just had a shave, basically. So you like normally has like the big beard, and I wasn't the only one who also had this query clearly because I was watching the first episode. This is why I was late this morning, by the way, because the 3 episodes came out, and I ended up watching them all back to back because you can't just watch one, can you? Yeah, exactly. So, so for anyone listening, Mother's Milk, the actor has not changed. He's just lost a bit of weight and shaved his beard.
Right, fair enough. And as I often get told by everyone, I can't shave my beard off. As Keith likes to tell me, I look like a shaved bear. Don't get any more compliments than that, do you?
Look young. You look young anyway, Les, but you'd look younger.
Everyone seems to hate it. Even the kids recoil in horror. Yeah. Take it off, so it's got to stay.
If I shave my beard off. With a crude face drawn on it.
Like badly drawn boy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's it. That's all the questions for this week's mailbag. That was lovely. Cheers, lads.
Yeah,
thanks to Paul. Thanks to Warren. Thanks to Pete. Thanks to everyone who sent questions in. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll catch you next week.